Welcome to Paw Print Academy, your blueprint to raising better dogs. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your host for this journey. I've got my trusty co-host here, Brianna.
Hello.
And together we're bringing you real-world training insights built on leadership, structure, and proven methods. We record this podcast with live clients on the line in one take with live, unscripted questions and answers. At the end of the day, this podcast is a lot more than just teaching your dog to sit or stay. It's about building trust, creating calmness, and becoming the kind of leader your dog truly needs. We do that with our 3-pillar method of trust, obey, and perform. Together, we'll show you how these 3 pillars shape every step of training. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. Hey there, episode 39, Building Reliability Off-Leash. When and how to trust your dog. We are coming at you from Eastern North Carolina. We've got Brianna here, ready to jump on the mic. We are going to talk about off-leash reliability, which I would say is probably one of the number one things that people want in their dogs when they call looking for professional dog training. They're like, yeah, I just want my dog to listen to me and do everything I say and never have a leash. And that sounds great.
Yeah, it does to everyone.
It does to everybody. Everybody wants that.
Yeah.
A couple things before we jump into the whole core idea for today. One, welcome to the show. If you have not been here before or you don't know the gist here, so we talked about it on the intro. Typically, we'll have people dial in and be part of the conversations. The way that you do that, if you want to do that, go to thepawprintacademy.com. Sign up for a free account. Just use an email. You'll do a quick verification through your email, and you're in. Doesn't cost you a dime. You're going to go to events in the little drop down the menu, and you can RSVP for the next podcast. The reason that we do that is so that we can tell who's coming and how many people, so that we don't have 50 people all trying to dial in at the same time. So if you want to be part of it and you want to talk and you want to ask questions and you want to be in there, great. We typically will have a quick question and answer session before and after the show. So if you don't want to be recorded and you don't want to be on the podcast part, that's fine. We can talk to you outside of that. But we'd love to have you. Just go to thepawprintacademy.com, create a quick free account, and RSVP for the next podcast. And we'll see you there. The last announcement on that front is that we're moving the podcast back 15 minutes. This is going to just create a little more predictability and reliability for the show. So at 8 p.m., this is when we record the show. I know usually it comes out. I usually release the shows on Mondays. If you're downloading it, you usually see it come out on Monday. However, we record on Thursday evenings, and we're in U.S. time. We're on Eastern time in the U.S., so 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And the final announcement is that we're incorporating a new question and a live Q&A event once a month. So the schedule going forward is we're doing 3 podcasts each month, and the 4th one will be a live Q&A for all of our premium members inside of the Paw Print Academy. So if you're interested in that, go to the website and check it out.
Yep.
And without further ado, we will jump into off-leash reliability.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right. Where's the little button here?
Right.
We'll get to it. Science. That's our science button. Off-leash reliability is not about like blindly trusting your dog. That's where we're going to start. It's not about blindly trusting your dog and just knowing that your obedience is really good in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
It's about building enough repetitions and building in enough accountability and proving that trust becomes predictable. And that's what we want to see. Freedom has to be earned. And it's earned through consistency, and it's not just assumed because, well, yesterday my dog did really well.
Right. There's lots of grades between that.
Right. So we talk about the grades all the time. Your children go to kindergarten before they go to first grade. Then they go to second grade, then third and fourth and fifth. What they don't do is go kindergarten, first grade, second grade, freshman.
Yeah.
But we see that in the dog training scope all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, he's doing really good. He's doing really good. Okay, let's test this. Excuse me. So we want to be in that 80-20 model all the time. Humans, hold on a second. I have a little bit of a background in human performance and health and wellness and things like that. So before I got into dog training at all. And on that front, on the human performance side, we always talk about the 80-20 rule and how when you're training, we want to be training 80% of the time and competing 20% of the time. Well, in dog training, this is where we want to be training 80% of the time. We want to be testing 20% of the time. Did I say that wrong? It just sounded weird in my headphones. I want to be training, just in case I said it wrong. I want to be training 80% of the time and testing 20% of the time. Mm-hmm. Where people get this wrong is they test 80% of the time and they only spend 20% of their time actually training.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to watch your dog progress. I understand that. But that doesn't mean that you can just live in the testing phase where it's like, oh, they did good there. Well, let me see if they do good here.
Well, let me try it over here.
Well, let me try this. Well, let me try that. Because you're rapidly going to find your dog's limits. And then what do you do once you're there? You go, oh, okay, that's too much. Well, what about this? And then you go back to testing.
Yeah.
Stop doing that. And I see it all the time. And it really doesn't come from a bad place. Like people just, they want to interact with their dogs, but they get so excited. They forget that's like, right, you're just testing. We're not training.
Right, because I think people get stuck on like your dog, you just continue to let your dog fail repeatedly. Yeah. And like reinforce the failure, or your dog fails and you give up and you stop every time. And so it's like, let me try this. And you say, my dog did bad. Oh, let's go home now.
Right. And you say to yourself, I'll try again later.
Yep.
But what do you do between those times?
Right.
And that's where that training has to pick back up. It's okay for a dog to fail a test. Yep. No big deal. That gives you information. But now you got to pick back up with the training in order to get past that hiccup or that obstacle and go further.
Yeah.
We just see a lot of people test, fail the test. Ah, cool. We'll try again later. And then the testing becomes the training. Mm-hmm. It's just that the testing is like test, pass. Cool. Harder test, pass. Harder test, fail. Give the dog some time. Test again. Fail. Yep. Aw, rats. Give the dog some time. Test again. When we do that, we're elongating the amount of time that it takes to actually overcome that barrier because the only training the dog's actually getting is those tests.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Switch it back up because the reason why human performance and dog training is the same on that 80-20 is because it's a mammal thing. And we all kind of do the same thing like that. We all learn the same way. All right. Layers. Trust is built in layers. Mm-hmm. So, off-leash reliability starts long before the leash comes off. we have to get reliability with the leash first before we can just go to off-leash training. And I see a whole lot of trainers. I see a whole lot of trainers online with the highlight reel about how, hey, look, we're doing all this and we're not even using the leash. Okay, I got it. But it's highly likely that most of those trainers on those videos, in the 49 times that they did it before the video, they had a leash on.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be tricked.
Yeah.
This dog training, it's a science. Like, there actually is science and stuff behind it, right? It's not just recently the dog training, the whole online thing has really gotten out of hand. The highlight reels, they're really out of hand. So I'm gonna skip over that because that's a soapbox I don't want to even get into. What I do want to do is I want to focus on the dogs. I want to focus on the dogs. I want to focus on training. I want to focus on you building a better relationship with your dog and how we can do that. So let's focus there. All right. So there's a couple. We should be focused on loose leash walking. That's a really great one for off-leash reliability. We should be focused on recall. We should be focused on place. And we have to proof all of those things because those are prerequisites to actual freedom.
Yep.
If your dog doesn't come back to you when you call them on a long line, why would you take them off the leash?
Right, and I don't even think people start there a lot of the time.
Right, because no one uses one.
Right, it's usually from a 6-foot leash to off leash.
Yeah, and
it's
go.
2 steps, and that's like kindergarten to college.
And they're like, let's see if he comes back.
Right, there's a reason we have like 12 different lengths of a leash. It's because we will move the dog up like 2 feet at a time.
So those, you need predictable stepping stones, right? And trust has to be measured in repetitions, not your feelings.
Yeah.
That's really important. You like, there's so many people that just go by gut feel and like, well, the dog, he knows.
Right. They love me. They're going to come back.
Stop talking about that.
Yeah.
That's not real. Let me back up. That's not a real reason to give your dog freedom. I get it. Your dog knows. That is real because your dog probably does know. But that doesn't mean that they've earned freedom.
Yeah.
And sometimes when I do evaluations, I've asked people very point blank. We were doing an evaluation. This little dog was running away on a retractable leash. The owner was just letting the dog run all the way out to the 15-foot line. And while they were walking, and I was like, why do you normally let him walk all the way out there in front of you? Why do you let him do that? Oh, because he likes to do that. I was like, but he doesn't listen to you anywhere else, right? Like it seems like it's kind of his show. Like, why do you let him do that? Well, he likes to do that. And then I asked him, well, do you think he's earned that?
Yeah.
And that one hit hard. And it was like, oh, well, I just let him. Right. But if we let him there, the dog isn't going to understand why you don't let him other places.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very black and white. They don't get into the gray area where they're like, oh, well, maybe here, but not here, and this and that and the other.
Yeah.
The clearer you are with your dog in every situation, the more they're going to reliably listen.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just because a dog has listened, for the last couple of days, that doesn't necessarily mean that they've like earned complete freedom. So it's like, oh, wow, I finally made a breakthrough. This is where we go back to testing. We get out of the 80-20 rule. And we're like, oh, he's done so good on his place the last few days. Let's go off leash in the backyard because he's listening so well. Mm-hmm. That's an immediate jump to a test. And I think that is premature.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to build a case for that and explain it, not in a way that's, I really hate to sound like I'm just so controlling. I'm going to control my dog. It's not really about that. It's about, let's lead our dogs. Let's show our dogs what we expect. And then let's build our relationships together so that you can have a great relationship with your dog. Now, every increase in freedom has to match an increase in accountability. Because without that, you set the dog up for failure. And really, you set yourself up for being upset. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not holding your dog accountable, but you're slowly increasing their freedom, it's just a matter of time before eventually it really upsets you because the dog's going to do something wazoo and not listen.
Yeah, and if you get frustrated in that process, the dog's going to feel that frustration, and it's just not going to be anything productive for you or the dog.
Absolutely. So long lines, fenced areas, and other types of like controlled environments are really important stepping stones. We always start on a leash. And we start on a leash because that gives you accountability. If you say come and your dog doesn't come back, what do? Well, I can just put a little bit of pressure on the leash and the dog feels that pressure, and then we can teach them to yield to that pressure and come back. Right? This is the stuff that we teach in the loose leash walking mastery course in the Paw Print Academy. Long lines are a great way to do that because the longer the line is, we start short and we slowly give the dog a little more freedom. But even with that freedom, we're still holding the dog accountable. Mm-hmm. And when they don't meet your expectations or they do something wazoo, you can affect a change by simply turning that pressure on. The fenced-in area kind of speaks for itself, right? It controls at least the dog from running away or deciding that they don't want to, come back and they want to play catch me if you can instead. At least you have the dog in a controlled, confined environment. Because it's absolute insanity, some of the things that we see. For sure, we are jaded because we see the worst stuff.
Yeah.
I get it. But I just did an eval today where the owner brought up an amazing point that I really hadn't processed because I'm on the dog trainer side. But he said that he has been viewing and perusing and like researching a whole bunch of different forums and chat pages, groups and pages and things. And some of the pictures and stories and things that he saw were like dogs straight up chewing holes in walls, and people, I'm just going to call it what it is. People have lost their mind because the way that people talk about it, they're like, ha, 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 ha. Oh, that's just that breed. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's what you get into. Ha, ha, ha. It's wild to me.
Right. And not to get that like confused, right? There are certain behaviors that certain breeds do, right? I was just laughing at one the other day about Dutch Shepherds laying upside down,
right,
with their paws together in the front and spread out in the back, but not chewing holes.
Right. You're not, I'm not talking about chewing your furniture. Oh, well, that's what Frenchies do this, right? Yeah. Or, I'm trying to think of another one. Pit bulls, right? Oh, pit bulls. Yep. They just chew the the couch cushions to shreds.
Right.
Why are we making excuses for our dog destroying our house?
Yeah.
I don't see it that way. But I don't see it as like I have to be this big bad Larry, like, and show my dog what to do. No, what I do advocate for is leading from the front. What I do advocate for is showing your dog what you expect and then holding them accountable to meet your expectations and reward them for doing that. Everything that we do, we try our best to always lead with positive reinforcement, reward-based training. But that doesn't mean that you can just let your dog chew a hole in your wall.
Yeah.
And then offer it treats when it stops.
Yeah.
That's insanity. So that was a new one for me. I was like, oh my goodness, you're right. I never thought about that. But people have lowered their standards so much that we are now, instead of keeping holding our dogs accountable, we are now justifying those horrible, destructive behaviors as, that's just how they are. That is untrue. That is just untrue. All right. Get off of my soapbox here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about how does an owner know when their dog's ready for more freedom? So I have a saying that I tell every owner when I'm in their home. And I say, the dog is ready for more freedom when their maturity meets your expectations.
Yeah.
And what that means is, if you have a child, at what age is it safe to leave them at home? For any length of time, even 5 minutes. At what age can you leave them at home? Everyone is going to have a different answer to that. Because they've all had different experiences with different children. Because there's no right answer. It depends on the child. It depends on the time. It depends on the neighborhood. It depends on the variables. It depends on all of these things. But the concept is, when you are confident that your child's maturity will meet your expectations, you can leave them at home. And the same goes for your dog. When their maturity meets your expectations. And it doesn't just happen at a certain point. My dog is 1.5 years. I can now leave them at home. Like out of a kennel. Nope, it doesn't work like that. I cannot answer when your dog is going to be ready for more freedom, but I can tell you what to look for. When your dog starts to show emotional regulation, when your dog starts to show competence in your asked for obedience tasks, when your dog starts to show that they want to please you, those things all earn a dog more freedom. What's the biggest mistake, you think?
Jumping too far too fast.
Yeah, jumping grades.
Yeah, really, like, I really think a lot of owners miss, like, even just, like, knowing about long lines, right? I don't think it's, like, they don't just, like, give you a long line with your dog, and be like, here, you can make this leash longer. And to some people, it's, like, a crazy concept, but we will start with a dog on, like, recall and things like that inside on, like, a 6-foot leash. And then we'll go to, like, a 10-foot leash. And then 12, and then 15, and then we'll go even longer than that. It's like we make them out of that like paracord material sometimes, and we can make it like 50 feet long.
Yeah.
And if I want it to be 50 feet long, then I want it to be 50 feet long. And usually I'll go that like long once I'm out of like fenced in areas.
Yeah.
Because that's my safety net. It's not only my safety net, it's the dog's safety net. Because if you let that dog get more than 50 feet away from you and you have you haven't tested for one element that pops up out of nowhere, a bear comes out of the woods. I promise you haven't tested for that. then there's no,
Right.
you have no safety net. And the dog is not set up for success. I know that was a crazy.
Right. Top dog training does not test for bears.
Yeah. Like there's sometimes like people are like, well, what about foxes? I'm like, I do not have a live fox to like set free in my yard.
Right.
To work with that. I can tell you how to work through that, but I cannot tell you that I've done that with your dog.
Right.
So there are things that can pop up. So if you're in an area that's unfamiliar for you, he's never going to recover from that one.
I can't.
If you're in an area and you're running through with your dog and say you're at a park you've never been to and you've taken your dog to 20 places, no fail, off leash, been perfect every time, but you're at a place that you've never been and you think that you shouldn't just clip a long line back on, you're probably wrong.
Right. That's where people go, I think it'll be fine.
Right. And there is no shame. I think there's like a little bit of pride in most people. And they're like, no, my dog is off leash trained.
Right.
No, you can clip a long line back on and nobody's going to be like, ha, loser. Like nobody is going to shame you for doing that.
That's a really good point.
You are literally keeping your dog safe.
It is a lot of times the owner's pride.
Yeah.
That leads to these off-leash dog problems.
Yeah, because that dog does not look at you and go, no, it's good. I can go. They don't. So take
that's
take
a really,
like pride
really
out
good
of
point.
it and
it
just
is usually owner pride that leads to those problems.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you choose the option that could possibly like save your dog or save you from like a lawsuit or whatever?
Because whether or not you have heard of or dealt with this, I'm telling you, people call me. I get calls every week. I was here or there or doing this or doing that with my dog, and an off-leash dog came out of nowhere.
All the time.
Wrecked shop. Completely turned their world upside down. Huge dog tussle all of a sudden because everyone was unprepared. And then here comes the owner behind him going, my dog's never done that before. Yeah. I didn't know that they would do that, or that's totally uncharacteristic. Right. Because you know what I've never heard? I've never heard a story where somebody was like, oh yeah, he bites dogs all the time.
Yep.
Nobody says that.
Yeah.
Everyone's always flabbergasted that this happened.
Right. And I think it's really common around here because we have the beach and people think that the beach is like a no leash zone, right? It is a leash zone, I promise.
Right.
And there's like a specific length that it has to be. But during a certain season, you can have your dog off leash.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you can't just be an extra responsible step ahead and clip a 50-foot long line onto your dog and let them go wherever they want to? Yeah. No. And so I think we do see it a lot more around here. We hear it all the time. Oh, we got charged by an off-leash dog. Oh, this, oh, that.
Right. Yeah. Crazy.
But I think that's, I don't know where we even started with that.
Right. But if you haven't heard of this, you're like, oh, well, that doesn't happen around here. It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
It will happen because we hear about it all the time. We hear the worst of the worst, typically, because that's who reaches out to us.
We were on biggest mistakes.
Yeah, biggest mistakes. Yeah.
But yeah, that really is the top one. Is just like progressing too quickly in your environment and just going from
just work through the grade levels, right?
Yep.
And even ask yourself, hey, is there a step in between this? Because if you do that, you'll be right on.
Yeah.
Typically, people skip a couple of steps. And if you really ask yourself, hey, could there be a step in between this? And if there was, what would it be? You'll nail it.
Yeah, because fun fact, sometimes I go from a long line to 2 leashes and unclipping 1 because some dogs, you unclip the long line, you get to that stage where you're like, oh, I can finally go off the long line, right? And the first time you do it, your dog's like, peace out, Girl Scout, and they're gone. Yeah. So some dogs, you have to work through like a 2 leash scenario.
Right,
in between
and you unclip the short one, and you leave the long one on.
Yeah, and then they're like, bye, and you're
bye,
like,
and you're like, haha, gotcha.
Joke's on you.
Right.
But those are the steps that like a lot of owners wouldn't know, right? That's a tricky one, and that's one like that usually without some sort of advice, you
right.
don't think
A lot of
they'll
times you
know
don't have to do that with all dogs, but some dogs you do.
Yeah, the spicy ones.
Right. Last little, I want so badly to go down a rabbit hole right now. All I'm going to say is that every dog is different, and people love to say that, but they don't love to think about what that means. Because when we say, oh yeah, every dog is different, but then you get these Facebook warriors who will die on the hill of this, whatever it is. It does not matter what it is. This technique, this tool, this leash combo, this thing is abusive. This is that. You're not really being true to that whole every dog is different, because every dog is different. And my guess is that you haven't worked with enough dogs to realize that, every dog is different.
Yep.
And there are a lot of different dogs. Because the sweetest, little, easiest, softest dog out there that all you got to do is raise your voice and they're trembling is not the guy that calls me for help to prevent them having to put their dog down. It's not the same.
Yeah.
So please keep that in mind. As if you're listening to this, it's probably because you're looking for help with something that you've not been able to resolve. Otherwise, you wouldn't be listening to this.
Right, yeah. We wouldn't
So
be talking to you.
keep in mind that that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about just every single dog. There's a lot of really good genetically sound dogs out there that really just figure it out.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of dogs that don't. And so that's where we come in. Okay. Point 2. Environment. The environment matters a lot. And some would argue that the environment is even more important than the actual dog.
Yep.
A reliable dog in your backyard is not automatically going to be reliable at the beach. A dog that's reliable in your backyard is not automatically going to be reliable on a hiking trail or a crowded park.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of what I was touching on, right? I was like, well, I think that's where people start skipping, is going from backyard to the beach, which is a really common one here.
Yeah. And so we start in the backyard, and most people start in the living room, right? And that's great. Then we go to the backyard. Then we go out front. Then we go to typically we pick a parking lot. Then we go to a quiet public area. Then we go to maybe a hiking trail or a quiet park. Then we go to a more crowded park or something that like has a little more people. There's a whole bunch of steps in between. But what owners typically do is they go outside, they call their dog a couple of times. They're like, cool, he's got great recall. And we're at the beach. And that's just not realistic. There's a lot of steps in between. All right, real quick. Here is our science lesson for the day.
All right.
All right. We have 2 words that describe 2 distinct concepts in dog training. One is discrimination and one is generalization. This is all over the CPTT K exam. What we do is with discrimination, we want to see the dog discriminate between commands or things, objects, different things, right? So in the case of commands, the discrimination is defined by, I say sit, and the dog sits, they don't down. Mm-hmm. I say down, they don't sit. That's discrimination. Generalization is what we're going to talk about here. But generalization is a down in the living room means down, and a down in the backyard means down. Mm-hmm. Down at the beach means down. Down everywhere means down. Yep. Generalization is a really difficult concept because to a dog, for whatever reason, I mean, I know the reason, but like for the owners, they're like, for whatever reason, my dog only listens in the living room. Okay, cool. Then they're struggling with generalization.
Yeah.
They're not getting the fact that that the command means the same thing in all of these different areas.
Right.
The way that we train that is by getting them in these areas and then holding them accountable to teach them that, yep, same meaning.
Yeah.
That's
right,
how we
because
fix
a lot of times we change the environment, the dog doesn't do it, and we go, oh, they can't do it, and we move on. But if you don't show the dog and guide the dog through it, then how do they know that it actually means the same exact thing?
Yeah, exactly. So, and dogs are also, they're constantly weighing environments and sorry, I said that wrong. Not just the environments, but like every environment has like a different reward level or reward, level, I think is a good word. Mm-hmm. So they're constantly weighing like the environmental reward against your value as a handler. So let's say you're a value from 1 to 100, you're a value of 60 or 70, very high on the list. Mm-hmm. But where do you think a rabbit is? Where do you think a squirrel is? It depends on the dog.
Yeah.
Some dogs, that's a 40. Mm-hmm. That's a 30. Some dogs, that's 100.
Yep. Paying high dollar.
Right. High dollar amount. That rabbit is paying good money.
Yeah.
So you have to understand this and weigh it factually here. Mm-hmm. If the rabbit's 100 and you're a 70, you're not going to win that.
Yep.
So we have to train and train and train and train to increase our value as the handler and decrease the value of those other things. The way we do that is through engagement training, working with our dog around distractions and conditioning them to engage to us. All right. If you are a really good dog owner, a really good handler, a really good trainer, you're constantly evaluating risk. And like Brianna said, there is no shame in putting the leash back on. Whenever the environment suddenly becomes too exciting for your dog's current abilities.
Yeah.
And I really want to drive that home.
Right.
It's like when you start...
never heard one person make fun of someone for putting a leash back on their dog.
Right. But it's the pride.
Yeah.
It is 100% the pride. When you're at the park and you got there and no one was there, but people started flowing in, slow but sure, trickling in and trickling and trickling in. Well, an hour later, now there's 500 people at the park. And you're like, oh my gosh, things are getting crazy. There's kids throwing balls and stuff, and the wildlife has come out and all of this other stuff. All right, cool. That doesn't mean you can't dial in your accountability with your dog, put the leash back on, put a long line on, put something like that. And then don't allow your dog to fail.
Yeah.
You're going to go so much farther that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's jump into the last one so we can get through this. We're at 40 minutes, and I like to try to keep these episodes an hour or less. Reliability. This is where we start really talking about like reliability. Reliability is just accountability over time, right? Reliability is what everybody wants in a dog. Mm-hmm. It's simply the act of holding your dog accountable, but over a long period of time. So the goal of off-leash training is not just to create a robot, but it's actually to allow your dog, that's a living, breathing animal with instincts and drive, to deal with their distractions that are competing for their attention and make the right decision. The right decision being choosing you. Mm-hmm. Well, we pattern that, and we get a reliability by patterning that and creating so much predictability and with so much consistency over and over and over with lots of repetition, that the dog just naturally is like, oh, this is what I do. Right. I see a rabbit. That's cool and all, but then I come back to my dad. Mm-hmm. That comes from those repetitions. And we're not talking 10 or 20 of them. Yep. This is what no one likes to hear either. There's no quick, rapid fix. And in a lifestyle and a world that is getting to the point where our attention spans are so short, we can't even watch a whole 60-second TikTok video. Mm-hmm. Our attention spans are so short. Telling someone that they need 200 or 300 repetitions is like laughable. Yeah. People are like, what? No, there's a life hack here. We just have to figure it out. You're just not a good trainer. Well, I tell you what, the way that you do it the most highly ethical way is through a little longer time period, a little less force, and you create reliability through repetition. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not afraid to correct my dog and say, no, you're not going to do that. Right. But it also means that I'm going to put in a little extra work, give the dog a little extra time, give the dog a few extra repetitions to do the right thing and meet my expectations. Because I believe that that's the most ethical way to train a dog. All right. Reliable dogs understand that commands are not optional, simply because freedom's increased, right? So just because I gave you more freedom doesn't mean now you get to decide whether you come back or not. Yep. That's really important. Accountability should really be super crystal clear, regardless of whether the dog's wearing a leash or not. Mm-hmm. You have to maintain accountability through whatever means necessary. That is paramount. And what that means to each person is going to be different. There is 100 different ways to correct your dog. Even the word correction sets people off and triggers people these days. Yeah. They go, corrections. Oh, we don't do corrections. If you say no to your dog, you're correcting them. Yep. If you say to your dog, you're correcting them. If you use a pattern interrupter, you're correcting them. Because the true positive only force-free community likes to say we don't correct dogs, but you do. If you have them on a leash and they get to the end of the leash and they feel leash pressure, there's a correction there. So the concept is that we all correct, but different people are going to correct differently. And I'm open to that. Yeah. But we correct based on the dog. What I don't believe in is correcting based on you. Yeah. Every dog is different, and everyone likes to say that. But suddenly, as soon as it comes down to, how much force does this dog need? Suddenly the wheels fall off and everyone likes to argue. Mm-hmm. The goal here is that you've got to dial in your training for your dog. So let's get back to that. A truly reliable off-leash dog is a calm dog, a neutral dog, and they're engaged with their handler. And they're engaged because you literally did 1,000 successful repetitions. It's not because, well, they're doing pretty good, or they had a good last few days, or just I'm pretty confident in them. If you're not supremely confident, they probably don't deserve to be off leash.
Yeah.
All right. What role do you think accountability plays once you have a dog actually off leash?
I think for once they're off leash with accountability, sorry, I don't think I understand the question.
So, so we're talking about accountability, but when you have a dog that's actually off leash, what does that look like?
I mean, when we're looking for accountability with a dog that's off leash, we're just looking for responsiveness to the dog in any situation. Because at that point, if you're not able to hold your dog accountable in that environment, then you shouldn't be there with them.
Yeah. So let me rephrase. I'm sorry that
That's
I'm
okay.
throwing you off here. So I think it's kind of it's a backwards, there's a word that describes this, and I'm not going to think of it right now, but like a catch-22, or I can't think of the right word. Either way, accountability comes into play before you even get to that point.
Right.
So when you have a dog, let's do this differently. So I'm not afraid to just put our like training methodologies out there, right? I personally don't believe that any dog should be 100% off leash with no accountability. Mm-hmm. I don't believe it, because you just don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. Case in point, if a dog comes back to you every time you call, but the wind is very loud that day, how do they come back to you? How do they know that you're calling them? If a dog is minding their own business, but all of a sudden a bear comes out of the woods and the dog is defending you and you're trying to call them off of there, but you can't get too close to the bear, how do you call them off of there? How do you know that you can like break through that?
Right.
There's so many random one-off, when is that ever going to happen? But I'm telling you, from a dog trainer's perspective, we get calls all the time about this crazy random stuff. So no, I don't believe in it.
Yeah.
And I use a remote collar on my dog to send them off leash. And that gives my dog so much freedom. Mm-hmm. Because now I can be like, hey, yeah, go explore into the woods. Yeah, go look for rabbits. Cool. No problem. Because I have accountability even from a distance. So I think where I was going with this is the role of accountability, it never falters and it always falls back on the owner. And if you can ask yourself this question and say, what accountability do I have what accountability do I have over my dog right now? And if the answer is none, you've already missed the boat.
Yeah.
with humans, if a human doesn't respond, afterwards you can kind of like debrief and like talk through this, right? Your kid doesn't come back. You can explain to them, hey, you didn't come back, so now I'm taking away your electronics, or you're not getting sweets for 2 days, or whatever it is. But you can talk to them and you can explain, this is what you did. Here's the punishment. Don't do it again. And you can relate those two. You cannot do that with your dog. So at the point where you lose accountability in the moment, you're no longer training. You're just crossing your fingers, you're hoping for success, and you're testing your dog. There's competitions for that. You can't use an e-collar, you can't do this, you can't do that. That's testing. Mm-hmm. That's the 20%. And that's great. If you are taking your dog out on a trail, off leash, nothing on them, and you're testing your dog, cool. Got nothing wrong with that. But you should test them in a testing environment. Mm-hmm. Something where you've got a backstop. Something where you've got some like left and right limits. Because if you have completely no accountability, no limits, no nothing, I'm gonna put my reputation online and say you're not really that responsible of a dog owner.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's just what I believe. You should take better care of your dog. Because these dogs would do anything for you.
Yeah.
And you owe them more leadership than that. Mm-hmm. All right. Off of accountability. Do you think every dog should eventually be an off-leash dog?
No. Every dog is going to have a different way of life, right? There's dogs that are dog aggressive. There's dogs that are human aggressive. There's dogs that are kid aggressive. And although you can work a dog into neutrality through those situations, why would you ever put your dog in a situation to fail those situations? So although they can enjoy like some off-leash freedoms, I don't think that putting them in every situation where an off-leash dog would go or should go or can go would be responsible for every dog. Every dog is so different. That's like saying every kid should go to college.
Yeah.
Not every kid's meant to go to college. There's some kids that are meant to go into the military or into, straight into their own business and things like that. So every dog is going to have a different path of life, just like every person does.
I like that. All right, let's jump into our listener projects and we'll cut it off for tonight. So listener project number 1. This, I want you to ask yourself the following questions. Just do an audit on yourself, right? Does my dog recall reliably around distractions? That's number 1. Number 2, can my dog maintain commands at a distance? That's number 2. Number 3, have I successfully proofed behaviors in multiple environments? Remember, proofing consists of the 3 Ds: distance, duration, and distraction. Number 4, does my dog remain neutral around people, dogs, and wildlife? Number 5, have I been successfully consistent for weeks or months? Because that's the type of timeline we're talking about. If you answered no to any of these questions, your next step is not taking them off leash. It's returning to the proofing of each individual building block that builds those successful repetitions. So do an audit on yourself and your dog and your relationship before you just go, my dog's off leash. Take your pride out of it and really be serious with yourself. And I think you'll come to the right understanding. Project number 2, progressive freedom. So this week, don't remove the dog's leash if they're already reliable. If they're not, mess this up. So I want you to keep the dog's leash on unless they're already reliable off leash. And if they're not, if they're not reliable off leash, this is for you. If they are reliable off leash, then who cares? Doesn't matter, right? Practice on like 15 to 30 feet of long line, right? Move from fenced in environments to mild distractions, increasing distance, increasing distractions. I want you to change different variables up, but you're going to use your command, come, or here, or whatever your command is, right? I want to see command and I want to see action. Not command, I'm going to think about it. Maybe I'll start trotting. I want to see command, action. That's what I want to see. Reward the dog's engagement. And then also reward their neutrality. Reduce freedom immediately when accountability decreases. This part's important. At the moment your dog does not meet your expectations, they're showing you the answer. You've got to move the bar down a little bit. Reduce the distractions, but also reduce their freedom, and then let them succeed before giving them more. Remember that slow progress is still progress. We don't need the quick fix. Pretend that you're not of the TikTok generation and that your attention span is longer than 60 seconds. You're working towards an end state. You can do this. All right. That is listener project number 2. So that is our show for tonight. That is our off-leash reliability. We talk each week not just about the basic methods. You can watch 1,000 YouTube videos and TikTok videos on the basic methods. Everybody's kind of doing about the same thing. Where we really try to dial in and really educate people is on the why behind it and the other factors that factor into what you should be doing with your dog. It's not just about sit, down, come, stay. It's about the education piece that builds relationship and reliability with your dog. So with that is going to conclude our show. If you are interested in being a part of it or in engaging in the live question and answer sessions during the podcast, I would love to have you on the show. All you got to do is go to thepawprintacademy.com, register for a free account, go to events. You can RSVP for the next episode, which will be on Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love to see you. All right. That is all I got. Thanks for joining us. And if you got any questions, you can reach out at team@thepawprintacademy.com. Good night.
Good night.